What's up, fam? I'm back, and in this broadcast, first of all, let me say, I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's staying safe. I hope everybody's being smart, and I hope everybody is remaining aware and having these conversations, and really being serious and really taking to heart what's going on in this country right now. Um, there's a lot of stuff going on as far as the coronavirus is concerned, and as far as the NIH, which is the National Institutes of Health, and Moderna are pushing out this vaccine, and they're already talking about they're having promising results and all this, because see, they're trying to get this vaccine out and ready for us by before the end of this year. So there's a lot going on that front, but we're not going to talk about that. We will talk about that, but we're not going to talk about it that in this broadcast. In this broadcast, as you can see from the title, we're going to talk about the Sister Gurl scam. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Sister Gurl scam, and we're going to talk about what this whole Joe Biden, Kamala Harris so-called ticket and everything, what it's really all about. We're just going to break it down, and we're going to talk about what it's really all about. We at some point, we may dive back into Kamala Harris's record and all of that. Her record is well known. There are tons of videos out there on her record, and of course I will put some on on this channel so that you can go and you can talk and you can look at some videos from other people who really break it down a whole lot better than I can. But we're not going to do that in this broadcast. In this broadcast, we're going to talk about the fact that it's the Sister Gurl scam. That's what it's really all about. That's the only reason why Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris. Out of all the women that were running, Stacey Abrams was in it. They threw Karen Bass in there at some point, who is a member of the so-called Black Congressional Caucus. They threw her in there. Out of all of these other women, Susan Rice and all of them whose names were thrown in the hat, there was never any possibility of him thinking about any of them or picking any of them in any reality. We knew it was going to be Kamala Harris all the time, right? And it wasn't so much because I don't even think it was because he feels like he can use her to get the black vote. It was because, two things. One, what we've heard so far is that the Democrats are just kind of throwing it back in our faces. I mean, that they would pick the one person that the new black media destroyed before she could even get started good. It's very important. That's not a coincidence that Joe Biden, that the Democrats picked the one person that the grassroots had already shown they have no support for. The one person that the grassroots showed that they will not support her as president. So if they wouldn't support her as president, what makes you think that they're going to support her as vice president? Okay, that's the one thing. So they picked her. And they picked her to kind of look at us and say, okay, we really don't care how you feel. We really don't care what you think. We don't care how you feel about Kamala Harris. We really don't care about your opinions and your thoughts and all of that. This is what we're going to do. And y'all just going to have to go along with it. Y'all just going to have to deal with it. And then two, this is that scam. This is that con game. And it's directed at black women. That's what this is all about. This is all about that whole gender divide. This is about that whole program and that whole campaign to try to divide black men and black women right now, because there's a lot of solidarity going on in the black community. The black folks are getting on code more and more every day, and they got to do something to break that up. Because once we get unified, that's the one thing that they're more afraid of than anything else, is that we get unified under the code. See, unity has nothing to do with us just automatically getting along with everybody, and everybody just kumbaya, and everybody just gonna hold hands and hug and all of that. We've already talked about that. That's not what true unity is. What true unity is everybody being on code. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody, understanding, okay, this is the agenda, and we're going to all fall behind that agenda. We're going to allow the agenda to be the leader. We're going to allow the agenda and the code to be the leader. That's what we follow. We don't follow one individual. We don't follow a group of people or whatever the case may be. We follow the agenda. We follow the code. That's what real unity is. If you look at unity in any other group of people, that's what unity is. They don't talk about unity in that form of just everybody getting along and everybody just loving each other and all hugged up and all of that. They don't talk about that kind of unity until they start talking about black folks. But you don't see that kind of unity with white folks. White folks don't get along with each other. White folks don't even like each other. White folks do each other more harm and undercut each other and stab each other in the back every day. But they know how to get on code when it comes to protecting their interests as a group. When it comes to protecting their interests as a whole, they know how to set aside all of that infighting and all of those differences that they have internally. They know how to set that aside and get on code with something that affects their entire group. Same thing with the Asians, same thing with the Hispanics, same thing with the Arabs and the Jews and the Russians and everybody else. We are the only people that they say we don't have unity because we ain't running around hugging and kissing on each other and agreeing with each other all the time about everything. No. Unity means that you know how to set aside those internal issues long enough to get on code about something that affects the whole entire group. And more, black folks are doing that. And more, you see black women and black men getting on code. You see black men and black women getting on code to support and to be behind and to throw their support behind an agenda that's beneficial to black people as a whole, that's beneficial to foundational black Americans as a collective. And they've got to do something to divide, to keep us divided, to keep black women and black men from getting on code together, pushing the same agenda. So that's what Kamala Harris is here for. That's the reason why Kamala Harris was picked. That's what she's here for. She's here for them to use her to do that whole gender divide, to keep black men and black women from getting on code behind the same agenda. Okay, so that's what this Sista Gurl scam is all about. Now, and as you will see in the screenshots that are coming up here right about now, or they have maybe have already been up. You'll see these screenshots and you'll see these different ones talking about the sororities and talking about the AKAs and all of this kind of stuff, and see and then you'll see Mark Lamont Hill, and you'll see Roland Martin, and you'll see Jamil Hill, and you'll see a few other people, and all they're talking about is this whole sorority thing and how you ain't gonna be able to tell the AKAs nothing. And you ain't gonna be able to tell the graduates of Howard University anything, and all of this, and how and Roland Martin talking about y'all don't be surprised if you hear a lot of suey and all of this kind of stuff going on in your neighborhoods and in your communities and all of this, because Kamala Harris, who's supposed to be a sister girl because she's a member of these sororities, and because she went to a HBCU, she went to Howard University and all of that. How that that's just supposed to be just the end all to be all for all black women. Is that you get to be picked to be the vice president to run with this old racist white man. You understand what I'm saying? And bring in the black women to vote for this old racist white man that has already made it clear that he does not believe in reparations for black people. He does not believe that black folks for slavery and Jim Crow and Reconstruction and redlining and gerrymandering and police brutality and mass incarceration and all the things that we have had to deal with here in this country for the last 400 to 500 years. He doesn't believe that black folks are owed anything. He's already made it clear back in the 1970s that he's not going to be held responsible, and he doesn't feel like he's responsible for anything that his grandfathers and his great-grandfathers did as far as slavery was concerned. So but Kamala Harris is there to bring you in to vote for this man anyway. Even though this man is partly responsible in a lot of ways for your black men being locked up and being pulled out of the home and taken out of the home and all of that. He's partly responsible in a lot of ways for mass incarceration, for the prison industrial complex as it stands today. Him, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, all of them are responsible for this mass incarceration we see, and how black men and everything that black men do has been criminalized so that they can pull the black man out of the home, separate and break up the black family. But you got Kamala Harris, who's there as the sister girl to bring you in to vote for this man. This man who with all of his voting and all of the legislation that he's been a part of, helping create in all of his years that he's been in politics, in all of his years that he's been a senator, he's been a lawmaker, and all of this man who has done the most to help destroy the black family and the black family unit, like I said, by helping to criminalize every single thing that a black man does. To the point where now you have black men who are still serving 25 years to life, 30-year sentences for weed, for being caught with weed. The same weed that the white folks are now getting rich off of with these dispensaries and all of that. The same weed that they legalized when it was black men, and the white men are now getting rich off of it, are now becoming millionaires and billionaires with all of these weed dispensaries and these weed businesses and all of this kind of stuff. But you still got black men sitting in prison having been receiving these heavy sentences for possession of weed, possession of marijuana. And Kamala Harris helped put a lot of them there. Kamala Harris did everything that she could to keep them there. When she had federal judges and all of this kind of stuff, and the federal government telling her that, you know, she needed to release a lot of these people with these nonviolent crimes and these weed convictions and all of this kind of stuff, she fought as hard as she could when she was prosecutor in California, and when she was state attorney general, she fought as hard as she could to keep them there. But this is who is now in a position to convince you black women, you understand what I'm saying? You foundational black Americans and you black immigrant women, that you need to vote for this white man. You need to vote for this old racist white man whose record shows that he is completely and totally racist, whose record shows that he is completely and totally against the black community, whose even his recent words has shown that he still shows absolutely no support for the black community. If you're not voting for me and you voting for Trump, you ain't black. That's what he said. He just made a statement not too long ago saying that let me find that statement, because he just made that statement not too long ago. He just recently suggested, when he said that unlike the African American community, the black community, with a few notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes. So basically what he was saying then is, well, you know, black folks are just one big nigga. They all think the same. They all feel the same. They all vote the same way. You understand what I'm saying? They're not diverse. They don't have different opinions about things. They don't have different attitudes about things. They just one big nigga that thinks the same way. That's what Joe Biden just said. This is the same Joe Biden that put out a tweet not too long ago saying that on day one, on his first day in office, that he would pass all of these executive orders and all of this legislation as far as the dreamers are concerned, and that he would do everything that he could on that first day to make sure that he hurry up and expedite it to make sure that 11 million illegal aliens received their citizenship. That's on day one. His first day, the first thing that he's going to think about his first day as president is illegal immigration. He's already said something about one of his main focuses is going to be LGBTQ. Okay, well, we already know how Kamala Harris feels about LGBTQ. First, and I still believe that she was a part of that whole mess that Justice Smollett was involved in. I still believe that she was a part of that. I still believe that Justice Smollett did all of that so that he could help Kamala Harris and Cory Booker get that anti-lynching bill passed, because that anti-lynching bill was about LGBTQ. And she has worked tirelessly to get this whole Inequality Act that's about LGBTQ. She has worked tirelessly to get that passed. But this is the same woman, and you've all seen the video. This is the same woman that sit in an interview with the Griot and made it clear that she does not believe in doing anything, particularly and specifically for the black community. When asked would she do anything, particularly for the black community, she said no. But this is the woman that has been picked to make you feel like you special, and to make you feel like because you're a black woman, you're special, and you know, and you got black representation, a black female representation that could go to the White House or whatever. So, you know, you need to come on in. You understand what I'm saying? And you need to vote for this racist old white man, you know, and by voting for him, you actually voting for me. You understand what I'm saying? Through him. So it's that Sista Gurl con. You know, I went to a HBCU. You understand what I'm saying? I experienced a little bit of busing for the little while that I was here. You understand what I'm saying? Because most of my time I spent in Canada. She was raised in Canada. You know, I'm black now because I need to galvanize and energize the black female vote so that I can get them to come and vote for this racist white man. But when I won my Senate seat, and when I ran for my Senate seat, I ran as the first Asian American woman. I didn't become black until I realized that I needed the black vote. You understand what I'm saying? When I decided that I was going to run for president, that's when all of a sudden I started identifying a little bit as black. But I've never come out and said that I'm a black woman. I've never identified as a black woman. I have no connections to the black community. I feel no kind of, like I've said before, I feel no kind of obligation. I feel nothing with, as far as that's concerned, to the black community. That's the reason why my whole career, I have spent my whole career as a prosecutor on the state level, as a state prosecutor, as a DA, and as a state attorney general. I have spent my whole entire career, you understand what I'm saying, locking black folks up and passing laws that would do black folks the most harm. But now, you understand what I'm saying, the Democrats need me to come in and play that role, that Sista Gurl role, and convince black women to come in and vote for this racist black man. and to vote for me, who's also anti-black. All the black men that she locked up and gave them all these years and all these big sentences and all of that for weed and for marijuana and all of that, you got to remember, she sit up on the Breakfast Club and laughed about smoking weed, and and yes, I inhaled. All of this evidence came out that one of the investigators was crooked and all of this kind of stuff. And they found out after doing the investigation that Kamala Harris's team and her office knew that this investigator was crooked and all of that. And she did absolutely nothing about it. And they had to go back and they had to dismiss I don't know how many hundreds of cases, but it wasn't something that she wanted to do. She never put forth that information. And like I said, there are videos upon videos. The Black Voice, Dr. Rick, has put together a whole ebook where he breaks down Kamala Harris's record as a DA and as the Attorney General and how biased she has been against black people. But now they're going to use her and this whole Sister Gurl scam to so-called galvanize and energize black women to come in and vote for this racist old white man with dementia. And with all the problems that we have as foundational black Americans in America, you understand what I'm saying? The police brutality, the murdering of black men and women and children in the street by these race soldiers and anybody else who wants to kill us. Whether they be Asians or whether they be Hispanics or whatever. Anybody else who's non-white that wants to kill us, as long as they ain't black, they get a slap on the wrist and they go on about their business. With all the real issues that we have to deal with, you got these folks who are totally disconnected, totally disassociated from black society, talking about a fucking sorority. And talking about how members of sorority and how graduates are gonna feel about this woman being picked as as Joe Biden's running mate. With all the real issues that we have. So while we're talking about this whole Sister Gurl scam that they're going to try to use, because that's all this whole Kamala Harris thing is. See, they want Kamala Harris to speak to black women and to make black women feel special. You know, that so-called black girl magic. And to make black women feel like they're being represented by her, and she's not black at all. Kamala Harris is Indian. Her father is an Indian that moved to and lived in Jamaica. There's evidence that Kamala Harris's father's family in Jamaica actually owned slaves. But she's there for this whole Sister Gurl scam, okay? Now, let's move on. Let's talk for a minute about another Sister Gurl scam. Let's talk about another Sister Gurl scammer. Let's go back in time and let's talk about Rachel Dolezal. And for those of you who don't remember, who are not old enough to remember who Rachel Dolezal is, Rachel Dolezal is a white woman. A completely, totally white woman. She was born to two white parents. She was born November 12, 1977, and she was known as Nietzsche Amari Diallo. And for years, she passed as a black woman. For years, she passed as a black woman. While being white and having no verifiable African ancestry. She is a former college instructor and NAACP chapter president. She rose to the heights of being a president, a chapter president in the NAACP. And this woman also went to Howard University. You understand what I'm saying? Following the completion of high school, Dolezal attended Belhaven University in Jackson, Mississippi, receiving her bachelor's degree in 2000. She then attended Howard University, a historically black college in Washington, D.C. She received a Master's of Fine Arts, summa cum laude, from Howard University in 2000. And she did all of this while pretending to be a black woman. And she wasn't mixed, none of that. It's not like she had one white parent, one black parent, or whatever. She was born to two white parents. Dolezal was born in Lincoln County, Montana on November 12, 1977 to Caucasian parents Ruth Ann and Lawrence Larry Dolezal, who are white and primarily of German, Czech, and Swedish origin. She was born a blue-eyed blonde. She has an older biological brother, Joshua Dolezal, who authored a book about their upbringing in Montana. As of 2015, Joshua Dolezal is a full professor of English at Central College in Iowa. That's another Sista Gurl scam. Rachel Dolezal. Those of you who are old enough remember the scandal as far as she was concerned. Talking about she identified as black. And she took advantage of everything that she could receive as a black woman. That's how she made it in Howard University. But she was a completely white woman. And if you go into her, and if you go and do some research and all that, you'll find out that her parents actually adopted 3 African American children and 1 Haitian child. And later on, one of the children, in 2010, with the consent of her parents, Dolezal obtained legal guardianship of her 16-year-old adopted brother, Isaiah Dolezal. Isaiah sought to be emancipated after claiming that Larry and Ruth Ann not only beat him and his siblings, but also threatened to send them to group homes if they did not obey. Her adoptive brother, Ezra Dolezal, later denied Isaiah's accusations in an interview with CNN. However, in an interview with BuzzFeed, he acknowledged that his adoptive parents were strict and sometimes used corporal punishment. Which means that what the other little black boy had said they were doing, which was beating them and threatening to send them to group homes and all of that if they didn't obey, he was telling the truth. Again, showing how when these white folks adopt all of these black children, the kind of brutality and the kind of abuse these black children suffer at the hands of these white folks. And the whole time, they got a black daughter running around lying, talking about a white daughter running around, their biological white daughter running around talking about she black and gaining all the benefit from claiming that she was black. With that Sista Gurl scale. And she was probably a member of all of those HBUs and, of all of those sororities and the Divine Nine and all of this kind of stuff. She was a member of all of that stuff too. She was clicked in with the Boule. You know, the Boule are those who are part of all of that, the Talented 10th and the Divine Nine and you know, all these Greek sororities and fraternities and all of that kind of stuff that these white folks put out there to fool these niggas. And to keep these niggas under control. By making them feel special. You understand what I'm saying? By making them a part of all these so-called Greek societies and all of this kind of stuff. And these niggas spend the rest of their lives You understand what I'm saying? Supporting and working for white supremacy against other black folks. And Rachel Dolezal, a white woman, because she was probably considered a light-skinned white woman, a light-skinned black woman, quote unquote. She was probably a member of all of these sororities and all of that kind of stuff. She received from Howard University, she received the Master of Fine Arts, summa cum laude. So you know she was a part of some of those big major sororities with that whole Sista Gurl scam. And that's the same way you being scammed now with Kamala Harris. There is nobody black. Her mother is an Indian. Her father is also her father has come out and disowned her himself. But because she went to a HBCU, you understand what I'm saying? And because she was a part of one of these Greek sororities and she could pass for a light-skinned black woman, they have picked her to fool all the rest of you black women into believing that somehow or another you can live vicariously through Kamala Harris. That it means something that Kamala Harris, this Indian woman, this Asian American woman, was picked to be Biden's vice president, his running mate. This old racist white man who publicly applauds and champions folks like what's his name? Strom Thurmond, that Eastland dude, all of those old white segregationists who believed in segregation, who believed that black folks weren't equal and that black folks didn't have the same rights in America as white folks. But those are the people that Joe Biden comes out and publicly throws his support behind and talks about how great and how awesome they were. But they pick a non-black woman who gonna pass for black like Rachel Dolezal. They pick her to come and convince you black women simply because she went to a HBCU and simply because she was a member of a AKA sorority or whatever, they gonna convince you that you need to vote for this racist white man so that you can get this non-black woman in the White House. A woman who has already publicly said that she don't intend to do anything for black folks. That she feels like anything that kind of disproportionately affects black folks and benefits black folks benefits everybody. So you got two people who, as far as when they had positions of power, when they were in positions to determine what laws and everything went on the books, and when they were in positions of power to as far as the courts and all of this kind of stuff were concerned, you got two people who did everything that they could to target black folks, especially black men, lock them up, throw away the key, whatever the case may be. You got two folks that did that throughout their whole entire careers. But because one of them can say that she went to a HBCU, and because one of them can say that she was an AKA or a member of a Greek sorority or whatever, then y'all just go automatically flock and vote for her, when she does not identify in any kind of way with being black. She's married white. Her friends are white. The only association we have with her with a black man is when she was messing around with old Willie Brown. You understand what I'm saying? So that she can get some clout, so that she could get some position. And that's how she got her position. That's how she got her start in politics. She slept her way to the top. But when it came time to marry, when it came time to have friends and all of this kind of stuff, she did all of that over there in the dominant society. She didn't marry a black man. She was too busy locking black men up. But y'all about to fall for that same Rachel Dolezal thing that you fell for back then. You about to fall for the same thing with Kamala Harris. Only difference is, you know Kamala Harris ain't black. You know Kamala Harris does not identify as black. She doesn't even think about even acting like she black until it benefits her as far as her politics are concerned. But let's take this a little bit further. This Sista Gurl scam. And let's go to this article that was done in NPR.org. And it was done yesterday, August the 13th. And by the time this article was done, everybody already knew that Joe Biden had picked Kamala Harris. But the name of it is Code Switch. That's the section. Code Switch, Kamala Joe and the Fizzers in the base. And they're talking about black folks, but they don't say black people in the title of in the caption of the head of the article. But and it goes on to say, on Tuesday afternoon, the news came in that Joe Biden, the presumptive Democratic nominee for president, picked Senator Kamala Harris to be his running mate. That makes her the first black woman. No, it doesn't, because she's not black. It makes her the first South Asian woman to be a major party ticket as a vice president. See, now they want to throw this black around everywhere when Kamala Harris is not black. Okay, let's be clear on that. Kamala Harris is not black. Kamala Harris is Indian, period. Pundits talk a lot about how black people are the base, even the heart of the Democratic Party. It's common wisdom that it's a presidential election, but that in a presidential election you have, and they got this in italics and bold, you have to win black voters if you want to win the Democratic primary. There's a there's a myth about black voters who are often considered as one big happy family who want the same things. See, that's this myth that they put out. That, that's what Joe Biden meant, and that's what brings about this quote. When he said this, at least that's what Joe Biden suggested when he recently said that, unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes. So basically, again, the myth is, the contention is, the thought is that we are just one big nigga. And we all think the same. We all want the same. We all feel the same about things. We all vote the same way. We all have the same attitudes. But the reality is that many black Democrats want very different things. There's the K-Hive, Kamala lovers, and then there's the Kamala is a cop constituency. And in case you're confused, those people don't like Kamala Harris. And of course we don't like her. And the reason why we don't like her doesn't have anything to do with her ethnicity, doesn't have anything to do with the fact that she's married to a white man, doesn't have anything to do with that. The reason why we don't like Kamala Harris is because of her record and because she's a straight out liar. And because she has made it clear to us by publicly saying it herself that she has no intention of doing anything specifically, particularly for black folks. That's why we don't like her. All right, this article goes on to say, to understand more about black Democrats, we talked to Cheryl Laird, a political scientist at Baldwin College. Along with Princeton professor Ismail K. White, she's the co-author of Steadfast Democrats, How Social Forces Shape Black Political Behavior. Below is an excerpt of what she told us, which has been condensed and edited for clarity. Okay, well, let's go over here, since they quoting her and they did an interview with her. Let's go over here and see what we can find out about this Cheryl Laird. Laird. Assistant professor. This is coming from Baldwin Education. Cheryl N. Lard, assistant professor of government, on leave for the 2020-21 academic year. Cheryl Lard teaches courses in race and ethnic politics, urban politics, American politics, and political behavior. For her teaching, she was awarded the Ernest A. Callaway Jr. Excellence in Teaching Award in 2015 from the African American Study Program at St. Louis University. Sorry, y'all, but I got the hiccups all of a sudden. So basically, she's just another bought and paid for academic. That's basically what she is. Another bought and paid for academic. Jason Back and Tariq and Professor Black Truth and some others have just gone ahead on and just put it on out there. And it's the truth that that our academic class, as far as black folks are concerned, foundational black Americans, our academic class has just pretty much been bought off. Pretty much been bought off by white supremacy. You understand what I'm saying? They want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want publications. They want money. They want the acclaim and all of that kind of stuff. So they're not like Dr. James Small. They're not like Professor James Small, Professor Dr. Phil Valentine, Dr. Claude Anderson. They're not Dr. Henry Clark, Dr. Ben. They're not like them. And the old academics, the old black academics who just put the truth out there, and you know, Dr. Anthony Browder, they're not like them. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, who stood on the truth. You understand what I'm saying? And they could have sold out and they would have made a whole lot of more money. You understand what I'm saying? And they would have gotten a whole lot more acclaim if they had just went along with white supremacy. But see, they couldn't do that. They found the truth. They wrote the truth. They put the truth out there. But these academics, these black academics now are just bought and paid for. So let's see what Cheryl Laird has to say as far as black women are concerned. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I'll have this interview that she did with NPR. I'll have it listed in the description box, and you can go back and read the entire thing. But what I want you to know is at the end of this interview, she finally just tells the truth and finally just breaks it down to what this whole Kamala Harris con is really all about, as far as her being named to as Biden's running mate. Okay? And you'll see a screenshot of it, of this particular portion of it in the video. And it comes under the caption, what might Biden's choice of a vice president mean for black turnout in November? It says, we don't actually have the data to predict what that would look like. We don't know what having a person of color on your ticket, and see, there goes that word again. See, there goes those words and those choice of words and those trick bag words that Dr. Claude Anderson and others have warned us about. We're not talking about people of color. People of color are not dealing with what foundational black Americans are dealing with here in the United States. They never have. People of color are not being killed in the streets. People of color are not dealing with what we deal with in the court systems. That's black folks. Black folks are the target, not people of color. Asians are people of color. You understand what I'm saying? If you go back far enough, some Irish are people of color. Jews are supposed to be people of color. Okay? But anyway, we don't know what having a person of color on your ticket does for the mobilization of black votes, but it signals a direction in Biden's politics that maybe people won't believe he is embodying, except through symbolic rhetorical appeals. So again, NPR is plainly saying this is something symbolic. This isn't anything tangible. This isn't anything real. This isn't anything that we can sink our teeth into. You understand what I'm saying? This is just some more symbolism. When are we as black folks going to be tired of symbolism in America? When are we going to be tired of the dominant society and white supremacy offering us symbolism, but never telling us anything about, okay, we're ready to offer some tangibles. We're ready to sit down at the table and discuss your demands for tangibles. It goes on to say, black women are the Democratic Party. Now you have to realize this is what this woman is saying. This Cheryl Laird. This is what she's saying to them as they interview her. Black women are the Democratic Party. There goes that lie again. Here comes the propaganda. Here comes the bullshit. Here comes the Sista Gurl shit. Black women are the Democratic Party. They've been telling that lie and trying to convince black women of that for some years now, that we are the Democratic Party. Just like they try to act like black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party, black women are the backbone of the black community, and all of that. Okay, well, if black women are the Democratic Party, then what does that say about black women? Let's just be real. What does that say about black women if we are the Democratic Party? If we are the party that has lied to black people, has neglected black people, has been just as racist, even though it's undercover, you understand what I'm saying, towards black people as everybody else in the last 50, 60 years. If we are the Democratic Party, then what does that say about us as black women? Just like if we are the backbone of the black community, what does that say about about black women? With the state that the black community is in right now, what does that say about black women if we are supposed to be the backbone of the black community? What does that say about us? So see, you think they saying something, you think they praising you. You think they lifting you up when they say that black women are the Democratic Party. Look at the Democratic Party. What representation do you really have in the Democratic Party? Who really represents the interests of black folks in the Democratic Party? Who really looks after black folks in the Democratic Party? Who really pushes for legislation and policy that's really going to help and uplift the black community in the Democratic Party? So if black women are the Democratic Party, then black women at this point are starting to look like they may be the worst enemy of the foundational black American community. So you think, like I said, you think they're saying something that makes you special, that makes you important. You understand what I'm saying? You think they're praising you. You think that they're giving you some kind of accolade or something like that by saying that black women are the Democratic Party. But really look into that. Really stop for a minute and look into that. What are they really saying about black women? That black women are sellouts? That black women are willing to sell out the entire black community by being the Democratic Party, because the Democrats have done absolutely nothing for the black community. Absolutely nothing since 1964 with the Civil Rights Act. Nothing but allow the Civil Rights Act to be gutted, you understand what I'm saying, and to be used for everybody else. To be used for white women, to be used for LGBT, to be used for white men, to be used for every other group, while we got nothing out of the deal whatsoever. So what does this really say? If black women are the Democratic Party, what does that really say about black women and our loyalty to the black community? Let's go on. Black women are the Democratic Party. Wherever black women go, so goes the party. They are the most loyal to the party. So what does that say again? What does that say about our loyalty? If we're loyal to the Democratic Party, but the Democratic Party is not loyal to the black community, then what does that say about our loyalty to the black community as black women? What does that say about our loyalty to the black community if we're more loyal to the Democratic Party, who is doing nothing and has done nothing for the black community? If you think they have, then I want you to look at the streets of America in the 60s, in the early 60s, and I want you to look at the streets of America now, and I want you to tell me where there's a difference in how black people are being treated. I want you to look at the criminal justice system prior to 1964, and I want you to look at it now, and I want you to tell me, what advances have we made? How have things changed for our benefit? You still got black folks being killed in the street indiscriminately by law enforcement. You still got black folk being brutalized in the streets by law enforcement. In 2020, the same way you were seeing it in the 1950s and the 1960s. So if black women are most loyal to the Democratic Party, the same Democratic Party that has done absolutely nothing for the black community as a whole, then what does that say about the loyalty of black women? Who are we really loyal to? Are we really loyal to the Democrats more so than our own community, than our own self-interest? Because what benefits the black community benefits black women. Let's go on. Even when they themselves may not see representation that reflects themselves. So see, that shows how stupid we are. Come on now, let's break this thing down and let's get real. We're going to be loyal to a party even though we never see ourselves being represented by that party. So what are we? Are we women first or are we black first? Because we're supposed to be black first. Because when we walk in a room, you understand what I'm saying? Based on the way we dress, maybe based on the way we got our hair done, or whatever the case may be, it may not be automatically clear that you're a female, that you're a woman. You understand what I'm saying? But it's automatically clear when you walk in that room that you black, unless you Kamala Harris. Unless you Rachel Dolezal. You understand what I'm saying? Unless you some of these folks that can pass, because they all mixed up. But if you just a regular old foundational black American, when you walk in a room, the first thing that people are going to notice, before they notice that you're a female, male, or whatever, the first thing they're going to notice is that you black. But what she's saying here is they are the most loyal to the party, even when they themselves may not see representation that reflects themselves. So we're going to keep on being loyal to some folks, but we don't see our own, we don't see ourselves being represented. What does that go back to the cry that was heard around the world that started the American Revolution? Taxation without representation. So we're going to keep on being loyal to a party even when we don't see ourselves being represented. How stupid is that? So they're saying that's how stupid you black women are. That's how stupid you are. You keep being loyal even when you don't see your own self being represented in that party. Okay? They were there with Barack Obama, although he was a man. Yeah, but to us, he was a black man. Didn't have anything to do with the fact that he was male or female. He was black, and he was supposed to be on our side. He was supposed to be about black people. That's what he said until he got there. Once he got there, all that changed up. They were there with Hillary Clinton more than any other racial group of people. Right. Because most white women, the majority of white women voted for Trump, not Hillary Clinton. Most Hispanic women voted for Trump and not Hillary Clinton. Okay? They were there with Hillary Clinton, talking about us black women. They were there with Hillary Clinton more than any other racial group of women, even though she's white. Exactly. So what does that say? Again, what is she really saying? What are they really pointing out here about our loyalties as black women who supposedly, and I'm doing this in quotes, y'all can't see it, but I'm doing this in quotes, who are supposedly the backbone of the black community. But as the backbone of the black community, evidently, the backbone ain't holding up too well if you loyal to everybody but yourself. You loyal to everybody but your own community. Okay? It could even be more energizing for black women who are already very engaged. But they also have a very strong influence on others in the group. Black women don't just vote by themselves. They vote more with the collective in mind. Okay, so what she's saying now is that when we vote more with the collective in mind. We vote more with the whole black community in mind when we vote. Well, if that's the case, then we won't be voting for Joe Biden. If that's the case, we certainly won't be buying this Sister Gurl bullshit. We won't be buying this Sister Gurl con that they trying to pass off on us with Kamala Harris. If we really vote with the collective in mind. Because we'll see that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris don't have anything to offer good for the collective. But now this is what this Cheryl Laird woman is saying in this interview with NPR. You understand what I'm saying? So it goes to show that this is nothing but a bunch of bullshit, and that this was just something that was supposed to puff black women up and make black women feel like they special and they important to the Democratic Party, and that, you know, they just hold all the reins of the Democratic Party. And again, you'll see in this, she doesn't say anything about black men, so they're making it clear that black men are just not needed or ever not wanted or whatever as far as the Democratic Party is concerned. But if black women vote with the collective in mind, then we vote with the black man in mind as well. Because the black man is a part of the collective. And if we're voting with the black man in mind, then we certainly ain't voting for Biden and Harris, because we see how Biden and Harris feel about the black man. That he just needs to be locked up all the time. That he just needs to be criminalized for every little thing he does and locked up and the key thrown away. Now get this. That one black woman can mobilize 10 other people to vote. Okay, well right there is bullshit. Because if black women really had that much power, then Hillary Clinton would not have lost. She just said that we were with Hillary Clinton more than any other racial group of women. Well, if that was the case, and we were with her more than anybody else, and we can mobilize 10 other people to vote, then Hillary Clinton never should have lost. Just based on the fact that she had all those black women with her, she never should have lost. Because we should have been able to mobilize each one black woman that was with Hillary Clinton should have been able to mobilize 10 other black folks, and Hillary Clinton should have been the president in 2016. But it didn't work out that way. Why? Because this is bullshit. Black women are not the backbone, and we are not the Democratic Party. And we don't have that much influence. Okay? Let's be real. They are the aunties, they are the mothers, the grandmothers. So see, she trying to pull on all of that blackness You understand what I'm saying? You know, the black, you know how we talk about auntie this and auntie that and all of that in the black community. She's trying to pull on some of all of that to fool black women into believing that you are really that important to the Democratic Party. So, you know, so that you'll follow behind this whole Kamala Harris scam, this whole Sister Gurl scam, this whole it's about black women scam, and vote for this old racist white man who has already said that he's for giving police more money. While the cry in the streets right now is defund the police, take some of that money away from the police and put it towards the streets, put it towards the communities, put it towards these social programs. That's the cry in the streets. Biden is talking about giving more money to the police, just like that Democratic so-called reform bill is all about giving police money. That's what it's about. Ain't about no defunding the police. Ain't about no punishment for the police when they kill unarmed black folks unjustifiably. None of that. It's about give police money. They are the people who are very revered in the community. Okay. They might be revered in the community by the community, but they ain't revered in the community by these white supremacists. The way these white supremacists out here killing all these black women and killing aunties and killing mothers and killing grandmothers and beating up black grandmothers and all of this. So what is she talking about? Then she tries to pull out that whole matriarchal toward versus patriarchal argument. She tries to pull that whole thing out again, trying to do that gender divide, man versus woman, black man versus black woman. We're not falling for it. It's white supremacy and the dominant society that decided that they were going to do whatever was necessary to pull the black man out of the home so that they could get the black woman and make her feel like she needed zaddy. Because the black man was no longer there to provide and protect. Because white supremacy had criminalized him and pulled him out of the home. Prior to 1965, black men and black women were living together, married, in homes together, raising their families together. It was not until the dominant society and white supremacy decided that they were going to come in, criminalize everything that the black man did. On top of that, keep the black man from being able to work with all of these white unions and everything to spread it out and close the black man out of opportunities and out of employment. So now you got the black man can't work, can't take care of his family. And then everything he does from that point is criminalized. Black society didn't decide, okay, well, we're going to have this gender divide and the black man going to go over here and do his thing and the black woman going to go over here and do her thing. No, it was white supremacy and the dominant society that decided that they were going to split the black family. And they still trying to divide the black family. Still trying to divide the black man from the black woman with bullshit like this. And with bullshit by like Biden selecting Kamala Harris. Right. Like the matriarchal positioning of black women in the black community. They have been denied a lot of opportunities politically. Who has been denied a lot of opportunities politically? Black women. Okay, well, we see plenty of black women in politics. What is she talking about? We see plenty of black women in politics. We always have had black women in politics. We've had black women in politics for years now. Look how long Maxine Waters has been there. Sheila Jackson Lee. Karen Bass. Keisha Lance Bottoms, Lori Lightfoot, that Breed woman, I think she London Breed out there in California. We have all these black women in politics, and in the place where they're doing all of their so-called black politicking, look what's happening in the streets to black people. But they're supposed to have the black collective on their minds. But look what's happening in the streets, in the states and the cities where they're supposed to be in positions of power. Look what's happening to black people in the streets. But she made sure to add this. They have been denied a lot of opportunities politically due to patriarchy. See, they're trying to divide. You understand what I'm saying? Trying to divide men from black women. But the only people that you see now being promoted, the only people that you see now being offered these so-called positions of power are black women. Not black men, black women. Why? Because the dominant society feels like the white supremacists, this system feels like it can control black women. And by controlling black women, it can control the entire black community, the entire FBA community. But at the end of the day, they still turn out. Talking about black women, they still turn out. They still mobilize. They still do the activism. Okay, so I guess black women are the only ones that do activism. I guess black women are the only ones that's mobilizing. We don't have any black men on the front lines. We don't have any black men who are part of activism. That's this bullshit that this black woman put in this piece. Again, to promote this Sista Gurl con. This Sista Gurl scam. Even when they don't see themselves being represented. Of course, again, reminding us of how stupid we are. We're going to still mobilize. We're going to still turn out. We're going to still be activists for you. We're going to still work to promote you. We're going to still work to support you. We're going to still go out and work to get votes for you and all that, even though we don't see ourselves being represented. Again, talking about how stupid we are. Because that makes us sound real stupid. Why? Because no other group of people is doing that. No other group of people is turning out without some type of representation. Without somebody that's representing their particular interests. The Latinos are having their interests represented. The Asians are having their interests represented. The Jews are having their interests represented. All of these other groups are having their interests represented. Some of them are having the LGBT having their issues represented, and their votes don't really do a whole lot of counting because they're such a small percentage. Illegal immigrants are having their issues and their interests represented, and they can't vote. They don't vote because they can't. Legally, they can't vote. But the same two people that they trying to convince us, black women, that we need to be voting for and that we need to be championing, those same two people are all about illegal immigrants' interests, even though those illegal immigrants don't vote. But she just said again how stupid we are that at the end of the day, even though we don't see ourselves being represented, she said this twice, remember? She said this twice. She said this just up at the top when she says they are the most loyal to the party, even when they themselves may not see representation that reflects themselves. So again, we loyal, even though we don't see ourselves being represented. And then down here she says, but at the end of the day, we still turn out, we still mobilize, we still are activists, even when we don't see ourselves being represented. How stupid is she saying that black women are? That we're doing all of this work, we're doing all of this turning out, we're doing all of this mobilizing, we're doing all of this convincing other people to vote, we're doing all of this being loyal to the party, we're doing all of this being activists for the party and all of this, even though we don't see ourselves being represented. So we're doing all of this with no representation. That's how stupid we are. We're doing all of this when nobody's offering us anything. Nobody is representing our interests. Nobody is representing what's good for us. Nobody is representing what's good for our collective. But we're still doing all this work. That's how stupid we are. And that's what they're betting on. They're betting on that black women will continue to be stupid. That black women will continue to try to convince other people to vote. That black women will continue to be activists. That black women will continue to mobilize. That black women will continue to turn out and do all of that, even though nobody is saying anything about our interests. Nobody is saying anything about what's going to benefit us. Why? Because what she's saying is our loyalty is not really to our group as black women. Our loyalty is not really to our group and to our collective. Our loyalty is to the Democratic Party. Even though the Democratic Party does not represent us. Even though the Democratic Party does not have our interest at heart. Even though the Democratic Party is not speaking to our interests. We're just loyal to them. Why? Because we're just stupid as hell. Basically, we're just stupid as hell. We're just stupid as hell. We buy into the symbolism. We are willing to accept the symbolism. We don't have to have anything tangible. We don't have to have anything real. We don't have to have anybody that's really talking about what's going to benefit us and really interested in our interests and really interested in our welfare and really interested in representing us. We're satisfied with the symbolism. The symbolism of, okay, well, you got this quote unquote so-called black woman that went to this HBCU. You understand what I'm saying? And she was a member of a Greek sorority, or AKA, so she can run around and she can say you, or whatever, all the little shouts and shit they be doing and all of that. Okay, well, we're willing to settle for that symbolism. You understand what I'm saying? Even though that same so-called black woman doesn't really represent us. She doesn't really represent our interests. She doesn't really represent what's best for black women or for the black community as a collective. But because we're just so loyal, you understand what I'm saying? We're just so loyal, you know, to we'll just go ahead on and we'll just accept this symbolism and we'll vote for this, you know, old racist white man. You understand what I'm saying? Because of the symbolism that having Kamala Harris there represents. Even though Kamala Harris nor Joe Biden represent us. Now, I just read what she said. I'm not giving you my opinion of what she said. I'm reading to you what she said. That's what she said in 2 places. She said it. Let me read it to you again. Black women are the Democratic Party. Wherever black women go, so goes the party. They are the most loyal to the party. Even when they themselves may not see representation that reflects themselves. So I'm loyal to you, even though I don't see you doing anything to represent me. You understand what I'm saying? Even though I don't see you doing anything to represent my interests. I'm loyal. They were there with Barack Obama, although he was a man. But see, you got to remember, Barack Obama was claiming that he was going to do some things that he never did. They were there with Hillary Clinton more than any other racial group of women, even though she was white. Now that's what she said. Then it goes on down here and she says it again. They have been denied a lot of opportunities politically. Okay, well, we're not seeing that because we know a lot of black women have been involved in politics for years and years and years now. Due to patriarchy. So again, like I said, she's trying to push that divide. That matriarchal thing over here and the patriarchal thing over here, that men versus women type thing. But at the end of the day, we still turn out. She's talking about black women now. We still turn out. We still mobilize. We still do the activism, even when they don't see themselves being represented. So that's the second time she said that we're still loyal. We still turn out. We still do the work. We still mobilize. We still try to convince other people to vote, even when we don't see ourselves being represented. Even when there's no representation for us. Even when there's no representation for our interests. Even when there's no representation for our group, for our collective. We're still loyal. That's how stupid she just made the black woman seem. You understand what I'm saying? And for all you black women out there who are thinking about, who are even contemplating voting for Joe Biden simply because of Kamala Harris and that whole Sista Gurl fraud, the same fraud that Rachel Dolezal perpetrated on all those folks for all of those years. This woman is telling you just how stupid you are. Because Kamala Harris does not represent foundational black Americans. She definitely does not represent foundational black American women. First of all, she's not foundational black. She's not a foundational black American. She doesn't identify with you. You understand what I'm saying? She has no connection to you. She has no link to you. You understand what I'm saying? She has no link to your lifestyle. She has no link to how you have had to live and what you have had to go through and your individual struggles in the United States. She has no link to that, no connection, no association to that in any kind of way. So there's no way she can really represent you. She does not have any link to the black man, the man that most of you are in a relationship with, the man that most of you have been raised by, or your brother, your sister, your brother, your uncle, your daddy, your nephew, or whatever. She has no connection to a black man like that because she's married to a white man. The only connection she has to a black man like that is the black man that she was sleeping with so that she could get ahead. So she has no connection to your life. She has no connection to the way that you have to live day to day. She has no connection to being to systematic racism and discrimination because she's Indian. And she comes from that caste system, and because they are so light as Indians, they were on the upper caste. So she has no way of identifying with you, period. So because she cannot identify with you in any way, she can't represent you. Well, we already know Joe Biden can't represent you. He's a racist white man. Of course he can't represent you. But they are expecting you to continue to be stupid and just be loyal, whether there's any representation for you or not, whether there's anybody to represent your interests, whether there's anybody to represent your community, whether there's anybody to represent and understand your struggle. They're expecting you to just be stupid and continue to be loyal because of the symbolism, because of how it looks. Because it sounds good and it looks good, even though it has absolutely no substance. Even though nobody is offering you anything that's going to better your life and benefit you and benefit your community. You just do it because she went to a HBCU, because she was an AKA, You understand what I'm saying? Because she could pass as a light-skinned black chick. Because she knows how to do the AKA greeting or holler, whatever they call it. Because she is a sister girl. So you're supposed to identify with her on that level. But those of you who didn't go to a HBCU, those of you who don't know anything about Greek sororities and fraternities and all of that kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Those of you who don't know anything about that lifestyle or whatever, you know, y'all just follow suit for the symbolism. You understand what I'm saying? Because she's supposed to be the first black and Asian American woman. Not because she represents you, not because she represents your interests, not because she intends to represent your community, not because she intends to do anything for your community, because she has already specifically let you know that she does not intend to do anything for your community. Joe Biden has also done the same. But for the symbolism. Why? And because you black women are loyal. Whether you getting anything out of the deal or not. You understand what I'm saying? Whether it's going to better your life or not. Whether it's going to better your community or not. Whether you're going to have any real representation up there in Washington or not. None of that really matters. See, y'all just loyal. Think about that. You're just loyal. You're just like a loyal dog. You understand what I'm saying? You're just like a little loyal dog. You understand what I'm saying? That gets thrown a few crumbs every once in a while. You understand what I'm saying? But because you just so in love with your owner, with your master, you just loyal. Whether you see yourself being represented or not. You understand what I'm saying? Whether you get anything out of the deal or not. Whether you see your community benefit from it or not. You're just loyal. Now, like I said, of course, I'll have this particular article linked in the description box, and you can go back and read the whole thing. But as you read it, this is the end of the article. As you read it at the end of the article, she finally just breaks it down and lets you know what it's really all about. Why do you think those white folks came up with black girl magic? Not black woman magic, black girl magic. Black girl magic. At what point do you ever mature to be a woman? You understand what I'm saying? At what point do you stop being a girl and start being a black woman? But you're a black woman when they need you to vote. You're a black woman when they need you to uphold the left wing of the white supremacist bird. You're a black woman. You're a black woman when they need you to continue to just keep following behind them blindly without thinking. You understand what I'm saying? You're a black woman then. They want to pander to you then, but they still ain't offering you nothing. They still want you to just accept their symbolism. They still want you to be just loyal without any representation. They still want you to just follow along without getting anything tangible, anything real in return. So you have to decide as a black woman. You understand what I'm saying? Whether you was a part of a sorority or fraternity or whether you went to HBCU or whatever. You have to decide. You have to make your own decision. Are you still just satisfied with symbolism? Are you still just satisfied with voting for somebody simply because of the school that they went to, or the Greek sorority that they were a part of? Even though they have already plainly come out and told you that they don't intend to do anything for you or your community. You have to decide. Are you just going to keep being loyal? Stupid and loyal. Because see, it's something real stupid about being loyal to folks over and over and over and over and over again that have just clearly let you know that they don't give a shit about your loyalty, that they take your loyalty for granted, and that they're not going to be loyal to you. So you being loyal to them, but they're not going to be loyal to you by looking after your best interest. You understand what I'm saying? By doing anything that will benefit you. So you have to make a decision. As a black woman, you have to make a decision. Because this has nothing to do with Trump. You understand what I'm saying? They're making it clear. They're not doing all of this because they really want to get rid of Trump. Trump is not a problem to them. You understand what I'm saying? We've already talked about this. You got the right wing of the bird. You got the left wing of the bird. You understand what I'm saying? But these two wings still belong to the exact same bird. And they work in harmony with each other. That's the reason why this bird has been able to fly and has been able to swoop down and attack and do all the things that this bird has been able to do for all of these years. It's because these two wings work in harmony with each other. So at the end of the day, this is not really about Trump. This is not really about getting rid of Trump. This is about making sure that those Democrats stay in power so that they can really get you. Because if you look at the record in the last 50, 60 years, you'll see that the Democrats have done black folks a whole lot more harm than the white folks, than them folks over there on the right. The right folks. Reagan started the war on drugs. 81, 82, 83, somewhere around in there, 1981, 82, 83, Reagan started the war on drugs. But it was Bill Clinton, the Democrat, that really took it to that level. That really took it to that level against black folks with the help of Joe Biden and all those other Democrats that voted for this maximum sentencing, that voted for these 3 strikes, that voted for the 1994 crime bill and all of that. So it was the Democrats that really did it. So you as black women need to decide, is that sister girl thing really enough for you to sell yourself out? It's not just you selling out your community, but you selling yourself out. Because at the end of the day, all of those little positions that they give, they don't offer any real power. You can't really make any real changes. Because they gave you the position, you're beholden to them in the position. So you really have no power. You have a position, but you really have no power. Trump showed Lori Lightfoot how much power she had. When she came out and said that if the troops came in, or if the federal agents came into Chicago, all that she was going to do and you know, to get them out or to stop them of all of that. And then she received one telephone call from Trump. And after a few minutes of talking to Trump on the phone, her whole talk changed. Her whole argument changed. Her whole conversation changed. And she welcomed the federal agents in. Why? Because she has no power. The only power she has is the power to hurt black folks. That's the only power these mammies and these bootlicks and these buck-broken niggas and these coons, that's the only power that you're giving. It's the power to hurt black folks. You're not giving any power to really help the black community. And the moment you try to act like you will help the black community, they're going to get rid of you. Look what happened to Paul Howard. He stood up for the black community by making sure that that race soldier, that Garrett Roth, was charged and arrested like he should have been. Very next election, they got rid of him and put one of their own in place. You black women have to decide. Because you're not just selling out the black community. You're selling yourself out. You're selling yourself out. Because when they get done using you, you understand what I'm saying? When they get done using you to mobilize and to turn out, you understand what I'm saying? And to be activists for them and all of that, even though you don't see yourself being represented, when they get tired of that and that no longer works, or they want a younger breed to come in and do it, or whatever the case may be, they'll get rid of you and they'll break you like they break all their tubes. So you have to decide. You have to decide where you really want to put your loyalty. Do you really want to keep being loyal to folks that ain't offering you nothing but a bunch of symbolism? To folks who are offering you nothing but a bunch of what might look good and what might sound good, but what ain't real. You understand what I'm saying? I can talk about a 5-course meal, and it may sound good. And I can show you a picture of that 5-course meal, and it may look good. You understand what I'm saying? But if you hungry, my words and that picture ain't going to satisfy your hunger. And that's what symbolism is. It's just something that looks good and sounds good, but it don't satisfy nothing. It don't satisfy your hunger. So black women, you have a choice to make. You have to decide if you want to keep being loyal to symbolism that does not represent you and does not represent your interest and does not represent your group as a collective, or if you want to say, okay, enough is enough, and I'm tired of looking at pictures of the food, and I'm tired of hearing you talk about the food, but I'm still hungry, and my hunger is not being satisfied. Why? Because I need the food. I need the tangibles. I need what's real. So until I get those tangibles, until I get what's going to satisfy me, no vote. No tangibles, no vote. Y'all please like this video. Please share this video. Please share. Like I say, have these conversations outside of just social media. Yes, share it on social media. Have these conversations on social media, but have these conversations in real life with your family, with your friends, with the folks you hang out with your co-workers, whatever. But have these conversations. You understand what I'm saying? Black women, think. God gave you a brain. He gave you the ability to think. He gave you the ability to reason. He gave you the ability to read and understand things for yourself. Don't take my words for it. The article will be linked in the description box. You can go and read it for yourself. This is what this woman is saying about black women. She's breaking it down, and she's making it clear that we have been loyal to this party despite the fact that this party does not represent us, that this party does not represent our interests, that this party does not represent our group, our collective, does not represent what's good for us. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. For those of you who are subscribed, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, and y'all know that. Hit that bell notification so that you can be notified when we upload videos. But again, black women, you have a decision to make. You have a choice to make. Either you keep wanting to satisfy yourself on symbolism, on the words describing the plate and the picture of the plate, or you've decided that you really want to be satisfied and that you really want that plate in front of you so that you can enjoy it like all these other groups are doing. Because see, these other groups are not being satisfied with just the description of the plate and the picture of the plate. These other groups are getting plates. They're getting tangibles. They're sitting down eating. You understand what I'm saying? We the only ones sitting at the table with a picture in front of us and somebody telling us what's on the picture, but we never get that real plate in front of us. So quite frankly, if we ain't gonna get a plate at the table like all these other groups, we need to get up from the table and leave. How stupid do we look just sitting there with a picture of a plate in front of us, and all these other groups, the illegal immigrants, the immigrants, LGBT, the Asians, the Latinos, everybody else got a plate, a steaming hot plate piled up with food in front of them so they can eat and be satisfied. And we the only dummies sitting at the table with a picture of a plate instead of the real thing. Y'all have a good night.